And we have breaking news. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals has issued a stay of Rodney Reed's execution. This is according to court documents filed in district court. It's an indefinite stay, meaning Reed no longer has an execution date.
This decision comes after Reed's supporters held this vigil all night long at the governor's mansion, demanding that new evidence proves his innocence. Reed was convicted of killing this woman, Stacey Stites, in Bastrop in 1996. His lawyers say new evidence points to Stites' fiancé, Jimmy Fennell, and not Reed.
Reed's execution now on hold. John Lawrence reports.
We don't want to free Rodney Reed. We want Rodney Reed to have a new trial so he can free himself, so he can prove his innocence.
Reed was sentenced to death more than 2 decades ago for the 1996 rape and murder of Stacey Stites.
If we're not in pursuit of justice, what is really going on? We should be seeking justice, not just upholding convictions.
Nearly 3 million people have signed a petition asking Texas Governor Greg Abbott to stop the execution. Texas Republican Representative Michael McCall even wrote a letter on Reed's behalf. Lawyers with the Innocence Project say they have proof that exonerates Reed and implicates Stites' fiancé, Jimmy Fennell, who was a police officer at the time. But Fennell, like Reed, has supporters.
I'm the one who really sat with him a lot and held his hand. He's not the murderer in this case. He never was.
The real killer is Rodney Reed. The individual who raped and murdered her is properly on death row and hopefully will taste justice for his crimes soon.
In 2008, Fennell pleaded guilty to kidnapping and improper sexual activity in a non-related case and was sentenced to 10 years. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Our Phil Prazen joining us to unpack this moment over 20 years in the making.
Well, Robert, Sidney, this comes just hours after the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles recommended that Governor Greg Abbott grant a reprieve to Rodney Reed, keeping him alive for 120 days. He was set to be executed this Wednesday. Now it looks like there could be a new trial at some point. This appeals court ruling effectively takes the decision out of Governor Abbott's hands. For the past few weeks, lawyers for Reed fought through a maze of court decisions in the Reed case, trying to stop the execution at the district court level, the state court of criminal appeals, and the Supreme Court of the United States. Reed is convicted of murdering Stacey Stites in 1996, but since then, more people have started to doubt that original sentence, including some of Stites' family. Her cousin, Heather Stobbs, says she thinks Reed should still be alive, and it's divided the family.
I'm actually relieved just because it means that people who have the power to do something have actually made a decision and made a recommendation that says that they're questioning whether he got a fair trial the first time.
Much of the public discussion on this case came online, anywhere from Beyonce to Ted Cruz calling to stop the execution. Former Texas House member Matt Rinaldi did not like that aspect of it, saying this sets the stage for future capital murders to be litigated on social media.
And Phil, you actually talked to Carol Stites, right? Stacey's mother.
Yes, I called her. She didn't answer, but she texted me back saying this was up to God now and pointing to 2 Bible verses, Proverbs 24:23 and Ecclesiastes 8:11. Since we just got our hands on the court order, I'm going to keep sifting through it and report back at 6 o'clock.
All right, Phil, thank you.
No justice, no peace.
In the heart of Texas, one life is lost, one is in jeopardy, and those attending this vigil say that on Wednesday the state plans to execute an innocent man.
Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Jesus.
It's a racially charged case. A black man accused of the 1996 rape and murder of a white woman, convicted by an all-white jury and sentenced to die. The main link? Police found Rodney Reed's DNA on the victim, but new evidence casts doubt on Reed's guilt.
This is what it's all about, justice.
Are you confident you'll get justice?
Well, with the support and what we have, yes. I just have to hold on to that. That's what I have to hold on to. So.
A co-worker of the victim now corroborates Reed's story that he was having an affair with Stacey Stites and they had consensual sex hours before she was found, raped and strangled on a Texas roadside. Forensic examiners have since admitted in affidavits that their estimates of the time of death could be wrong. There is another bit of blockbuster new evidence that's been introduced, and that is from a member of the Aryan Brotherhood named Arthur Snow. Snow claims that while in prison, he spoke to the fiance of the victim, a man named Jimmy Fennell, and that Fennell confessed that he had murdered Stacey Stites because she was having an affair with an African-American man. Reed has always insisted he is not guilty.
I think a lot of people know the truth right now. A lot of people have seen the evidence that's been developed over the years.
The victim's cousin believes him.
The evidence points to the fact that he's innocent and that Jimmy Fennell killed her.
The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals has consistently denied Reed's claims of innocence, and Texas Governor Greg Abbott has so far declined to grant Reed a reprieve.
Tonight, a KXAN investigation as the clock winds down for a man on Texas death row for the murder of 19-year-old bride-to-be Stacey Stites. Her body strangled with a belt and dumped along a rural road in the Lost Pines north of Bastrop on April 23, 1996.
I did my best, and somebody come along and do something like this to my baby. And I can't get my baby back. She's gone.
Linked by DNA, investigators arrested Rodney Reed, who initially denied knowing Stacey. Over time, his story changed to one about a secret affair with the young woman, who was set to marry a police officer, Jimmy Fennell.
The last time I saw Stacey alive was the night before, the 22nd. We were together. We had sex.
A jury convicted and sentenced Reed to death. But over 2 decades and 8 denied appeals, he never stopped proclaiming his innocence. Then, this year, just 10 days before he was scheduled to die, an appeals court stayed his execution.
And while he waits to find out if he gets an appeal, Reed's defense is working to show the court that recently surfaced evidence could point to another killer. New forensic experts say the DNA found in Stacey Stites could have been left there days before she died. Those experts also question when investigators have said the crime happened, that someone could have moved her body hours earlier. The original medical examiner in the case backs that up, saying prosecutors misconstrued his estimation of the time of death and that evidence of a rape isn't so clear. And 2 of Stacey's former co-workers have now come forward after 19 years to say the pair had a consensual relationship. So we went to Texas death row to talk to Rodney Reed about how these new developments may help spare his life.
Would you talk to me a little bit about Stacey? Tell me about her. What was it about her that you liked?
Our relationship was somewhat discreet, you know what I'm saying? We was sneaking around, but she was just she was a fun person. She was a really fun person.
At the time, do you remember if you saw a future with her or?
No, we wasn't looking at life like that. You know what I'm saying? We were doing what we were doing. At the time, I was 27, she was 18, turning 19, I was turning 28,
Have you ever reached out to her family? Because you know that they are very critical of you and believe that you are guilty.
Well, her mom and her 2 sisters, you know what I'm saying? I just hate the fact that they've been misled, just like the jury was. The state has misled them and stood in their corner, and I'm pretty sure that they're still standing in their corner and standing on this conviction, but it's not true. The evidence speaks for itself. They're still trying to kill me for something I had nothing to do with.
If you did not kill Stacey, who do you think did?
The evidence points to one person. The time frame what these doctors come up with points to one person. And all you have to do is read that information and you'll know exactly who that person is.
Jimmy Fennell.
Exactly.
And that's what you believe.
That's what the evidence points to.
What about these 2 former co-workers of Stacey's who now say that she told them that you 2 were in a consensual relationship?
It kind of made me feel a little, like someone else did know.
Did it surprise you that almost, 19 years later, people would come forward and say that?
Like I said, when you're out in public, people see things that you're not paying attention to them, you know what I'm saying? And it's just a blessing that they come forward.
Well, these witnesses could be crucial as the defense has had difficulty establishing any relationship ever existed. A string of other rape allegations has not helped Reed's case, though he has never been convicted of any of those rape accusations.
And what about the man many believe is the real killer, Stacey's fiance, Jimmy Fennell?
Well, he declined our request for an interview when we tried to reach him in prison. Years after the murder, Fennell, a cop himself, pleaded guilty to kidnapping and having sex with a person in his custody. His lawyers tell us, quote, it's difficult when a police officer goes to jail, but Fennell stepped up and took his medicine, they say.
Hays County Jail inmate Arthur Snow Jr. issued a sworn affidavit of support for Reed. In it, Snow says he served time with Jimmy Fennell, Stites' fiance at the time, and the original person of interest in her death. Snow claims that while serving time together in 2010, Fennell approached Snow asking for protection inside the prison. Snow says at the time he was the leader of the Aryan Brotherhood prison gang and had lifelong prejudices against black people.
Snow says Fennell confessed to killing Stites because he found out that she'd had an affair with a black man. Not long after that, Snow says people inside found out Fennell was a former Georgetown police officer and was in prison for raping a woman in his custody. He says that's when Fennell's Aryan Brotherhood protection ended. Then a feud between the two men began, a feud that eventually ended with Snow's transfer to another facility. Fennell was released from prison last year. Snow says he eventually saw a newspaper article about Fennell and Reed. That's when he realized a man was serving time for the murder Fennell confessed to him in prison. Now he says he's put aside some of his past prejudices and felt it was time to come forward.
And this is just the latest in a long list of efforts to save Rodney Reed's life, some publicly admitting they're not sure if he's guilty of the murder, and others straight away saying he is innocent. Among the supporters is Dr. Phil McGraw, who recently aired a 2-hour special after sitting down with Rodney Reed for a jailhouse interview. Dr. Phil spoke about it with our KXAN Morning News anchor, Sally Hernandez.
You're saying that Rodney Reed did not kill Stacey Stites?
That is my belief, but I want people to make up their own mind after they hear the evidence that the triers of fact have yet to hear.
Stites' sister believes Reed is her killer.
Too long we've been trying to fight for justice for Rodney, who didn't deserve justice at all. We need justice for Stacey.
But a broad array of advocates are calling for a stay of the execution, from Texas Senator Ted Cruz to celebrities like Kim Kardashian West.
Seeing everyone rally around cases like Rodney Reed's case.
Reed's family isn't just counting on the governor.
Give us a chance to save my brother's life because he is truly innocent. And we're not asking for anything special. We're not asking for any favors. We're asking for the right thing to be done in this case.
With just days to go, they have asked the U.S. Supreme Court to stay the execution and give time to hear the new evidence before Rodney Reed's time runs out. John Hendren, Al Jazeera, Bastrop, Texas.